Lily's quiet world. The persistent hum of the old refrigerator was Lily's only companion in the pre-dawn quiet. Her small, scarred desk, wedged between a sagging bookshelf and a window overlooking a perpetually damp alley, was a beacon under the single, energy-saving bulb. Piles of textbooks, worn at the edges, lay open, their pages a jumble of formulas and diagrams. Lily, her brow furrowed in concentration, meticulously copied a complex chemical reaction into her notebook, adorning the margins with tiny, intricate doodles of swirling atoms and vibrant, stylized molecules. The vibrant blues and greens of her colored pencils were a small rebellion against the monochrome seriousness of her studies. A low growl from her stomach pulled her momentarily from the intricate dance of electrons. She ignored it, her focus returning to the dense paragraph on quantum mechanics. Tomorrow's advanced physics exam, administered by Professor Anya Sharma, loomed large. Professor Sharma was a formidable presence, sharp-eyed, exacting, her lectures a whirlwind of brilliant insights and challenging questions. Lily admired her immensely, a silent reverence for the woman who commanded such profound understanding. But admiration didn't quiet the butterflies that fluttered whenever she thought of facing the professor's scrutiny. A soft creak from the hallway announced Grandma Rose. "Still at it, my little owl," her voice, a gentle rasp, drifted into the room. Lily looked up, a faint blush rising. "Almost done, Grandma. Just this last section on wave-particle duality." Grandma Rose, her frail hands clutching a steaming mug, shuffled closer. The scent of chamomile and a faint hint of toast wafted into the small space. "You work too hard, child. Your brain needs fuel." She set the mug down beside Lily's open textbook, the warmth radiating against the cool air. "And your tummy, too, I suspect." Lily smiled, a genuine, tired curve of her lips. "It's okay, Grandma. Just trying to keep up." "You do more than keep up, Lily. You shine." Grandma Rose's gaze, though softened by age, held an unwavering belief. "Now, take a break. I made some of that rice porridge you like. With a little cinnamon." The simple offer was a comfort, a warm blanket against the chill of her anxieties. Lily knew how much effort it took for Grandma Rose to prepare even a simple meal these days. "Thank you, Grandma. Just 5 more minutes." She turned back to her notes, the image of Professor Sharma's stern, intelligent face appearing in her mind's eye. The professor's lectures, though challenging, were always crystal clear, demanding not just memorization but true comprehension. Lily craved that understanding, that sense of unlocking the universe's secrets. The porridge, when she finally ate it, was a soothing balm. Each spoonful was a reminder of her grandmother's quiet strength and unwavering support. The cinnamon added a surprising, almost celebratory, sweetness. She thought of Professor Sharma again, her reputation for being unyielding, yet fair. Lily knew the professor recognized genuine effort. That thought, more than anything, fueled her determination. She might be nervous, her stomach might do a little flip-flop, but she would walk into that exam room tomorrow, notes meticulously organized, mind prepared, and ready to face whatever the professor threw her way. The quiet world of her studies, her humble home, and Grandma Rose's steady presence were the anchors that steadied her for the turbulent waters ahead. The night before. The scent of lavender from the sachet tucked beneath her pillow usually lulled Lily to sleep, but tonight it only mingled with the faint, comforting aroma of old paper and ink. Her desk lamp cast a warm, focused glow on the scattered pages before her, each one a testament to weeks of dedicated study. Lily traced the swirling, emerald-green borders she'd drawn around the key definitions for the advanced calculus exam, a small smile playing on her lips. Her notes weren't just facts and figures, they were vibrant tapestries of knowledge, interwoven with crimson arrows pointing to crucial theorems and sapphire blue clouds encapsulating complex formulas. Every diagram, every doodle, had been a careful act of understanding, an artistic interpretation of abstract concepts. She smoothed the crinkled edges of a particularly dense section on differential equations, her eyes scanning the neat, looping script. The information felt less like a burden and more like a well-organized library within her mind. There was a quiet satisfaction in knowing she had poured everything into this, leaving no stone unturned, no theorem unexamined. She carefully stacked the last set of pages, aligning them perfectly. The rainbow of colors, a visual representation of her persistence, seemed to hum with a silent confidence. Next, the ritual of the backpack. Her fingers glided over the familiar canvas material as she unzipped the main compartment. Inside, a pristine, new pencil case held an array of sharpened pencils, a dependable eraser, and her lucky ruler. She placed her meticulously organized notes into a clear plastic sleeve, then slid them gently into the bag, ensuring they lay flat, protected from any potential creases or bends. A quick check confirmed her scientific calculator was nestled safely in its own padded pouch, ready for tomorrow's algebraic onslaught. She zipped the bag shut with a firm, decisive motion, the sound a small punctuation mark at the end of a long, studious journey. A profound sense of calm settled over her. The anxious flutter that had been a constant companion for the past few days finally receded, replaced by a quiet certainty. She wasn't just prepared, she was ready. The daunting challenge of the exam now felt manageable, almost anticipated. Pulling back her quilt, Lily climbed into bed, the cool sheets a pleasant contrast to the warmth of her focused concentration. She closed her eyes, not to the familiar anxiety of forgotten details, but to a mental slideshow of her vibrant notes, each page a beacon of her preparedness. Tomorrow was just another page waiting to be turned, and she was eager to read it. Exam day morning. The first sliver of dawn was just teasing the horizon, painting the sky in soft mauves and grays, when Lily's alarm let out its gentle chirp. Her hand shot out, silencing it before it could fully awaken her younger brother in the next room. Today was not a day for any unnecessary domestic chaos. She swung her legs out of bed, the cool wooden floor a stark contrast to the warmth of her duvet. A quick glance at the clock confirmed her early start, a habit ingrained from years of meticulous preparation. Breakfast was a practiced affair, a bowl of oatmeal, fortified with a banana for sustained energy. Her movements were precise, almost ritualistic, as she mentally ran through the day's schedule. The history exam, the culmination of months of intense study, loomed large in her mind. Despite the gnawing butterflies in her stomach, a sense of quiet determination settled over her. She double-checked her bag, confirming the presence of her pens, ruler, and the lucky charm her grandmother had given her, a small, intricately carved wooden bird. Her notes, a vibrant tapestry of colorful diagrams and annotated timelines, were tucked securely inside. Stepping out, the morning air was crisp and invigorating. The sun, now fully risen, cast long, dancing shadows of the trees onto the pavement. Birds chirped enthusiastically from the leafy branches, their songs a bright counterpoint to the thrum of her internal anxiety. Each breath of the fresh air seemed to fill her with a paradoxical sense of calm and heightened awareness. The familiar walk to school, usually a blur of introspection, today felt sharper, every detail more vivid. The dew-kissed grass in the park, the scent of blooming jasmine from a neighbor's garden, all registered with an unusual clarity. As she approached the school gates, the usual morning buzz was amplified. Clusters of students stood huddled together, some poring over textbooks, others engaging in frantic last-minute recitations. Lily spotted Samir by the main entrance, his brow furrowed in concentration as he flipped through a thick textbook. He looked up, catching her eye, and offered a weak, nervous smile. "Morning, Lily." "Ready for the Spanish Inquisition?" he quipped, attempting levity, though his own apprehension was palpable. Lily returned his smile, a little more genuine than his. "As ready as I'll ever be," she replied, her voice steady despite the tremor she felt internally. She moved past him, heading straight for the science block, where the exam was being held. The corridor was already bustling, the air thick with the scent of nervous energy and old linoleum. She found her assigned seat, desk number 17, near the window. The view of the oak tree outside, its leaves shimmering in the morning sun, offered a small, temporary respite. She took a deep breath, placed her pens neatly on the desk, and waited. The clock on the wall seemed to tick louder with each passing second. A sudden panic. A hush fell over the lecture hall as Professor Anya Sharma strode in, her neatly tailored tweed jacket a stark contrast to the casual attire of the students. Her silver hair, usually pulled back in a severe bun, had a few rebellious strands framing her sharp, intelligent eyes that swept across the room. A stack of crisp white papers clutched in her hand seemed to radiate an aura of impending doom. The air, already thick with nervous anticipation, grew heavier. Lily's heart, which had been doing a rather lively jig, now felt like a lead weight. She smoothed her worn skirt, a nervous habit, and tried to focus on the intricate pattern of the ceiling tiles. "Good morning, class," Professor Sharma's voice, clear and precise, cut through the silence. "You have 2 hours for this exam. No talking, no electronic devices, and please ensure your names are clearly written on all submitted pages." She began distributing the papers with an almost surgical efficiency, moving row by row. Samir, seated next to Lily, shifted nervously, his pen already poised. Lily watched as the first few questions came into view on the papers ahead, a blur of complex equations and theoretical concepts. Finally, a test paper landed on Lily's desk, cool and unforgiving. The bold title, Advanced Quantum Mechanics, Midterm Examination, seemed to mock her. She took a deep, steadying breath, reminding herself of the late nights, the countless practice problems, the vibrant, colorful diagrams she'd drawn in her notebook to make sense of the abstract ideas. Her notes, a kaleidoscope of understanding, were her lifeline. She reached for her backpack, slung on the floor beside her chair, her fingers fumbling for the familiar zipper. Her hand plunged inside, expecting the comforting crinkle of paper, the smooth texture of the cover. Instead, she felt fabric. A soft, unfamiliar texture. Panic, cold and sharp, pierced through her. She pulled her hand out, then thrust it back in, rummaging desperately. Her fingers brushed against a fluffy, plush toy, a small, brightly colored unicorn. Not her meticulously organized binder, filled with diagrams and annotations. Not the dense, reassuring weight of her textbook. Just a child's toy. Her eyes darted to Samir, whose brow was furrowed in concentration over the first question. She looked back at her bag, then at the menacing exam paper. A wave of nauseating realization washed over her. She must have grabbed her younger sister's backpack this morning in the pre-dawn rush. The vibrant, hand-drawn atom models, the elegantly phrased definitions, the entire repository of her understanding, all of it was sitting on her sister's bed, likely surrounded by glitter and crayon drawings. Her mind went blank, the complex formulas vanishing as if erased by a cruel hand. The clock on the wall, a silent sentinel, ticked onward, each second a hammer blow to her dwindling hope. Her meticulous preparation, her diligence, all rendered useless in a single, gut-wrenching moment of absent-mindedness. Professor Anya's gaze. The hushed anticipation of the exam hall pressed in on Lily, a physical weight that made her temples throb. Other students rustled papers, clicked pens, and settled into their chairs with an air of practiced ease. Lily, however, felt a growing hollowness in her chest. Her fingers, usually nimble and quick, fumbled at the zipper of her worn canvas messenger bag, a frantic hope still flickering despite the cold dread coiling in her stomach. She plunged her hand inside, rummaging past a half-eaten granola bar, a stray pencil, and a forgotten scrunchie. Nothing. Just the soft, dusty lining. Her meticulously organized, brightly illustrated revision notes, the culmination of weeks of late-night study, were nowhere to be found. A sharp, almost imperceptible gasp escaped her lips, quickly stifled. Her vision blurred at the edges, the neat rows of desks and the stern clock on the wall wavering like a watercolor painting left in the rain. Hot tears pricked at the corners of her eyes, threatening to spill over and betray the carefully constructed composure she always maintained. This wasn't just about the exam, it was about the countless hours, the vibrant ink she'd used to sketch diagrams of cellular respiration, the tiny, colorful reminders she'd drawn in the margins. All of it, gone. A cold knot tightened in her stomach. Professor Anya Sharma, a woman whose presence commanded respect as much as her intellect, moved with a quiet efficiency through the aisles. Her gaze, usually sharp and penetrating, swept over the students, assessing their readiness. She noticed the slight tremor in Lily's shoulders, the way her head was bowed, almost defensively, over an empty space on her desk. Most students had their materials laid out, calculators, pens, and often a well-thumbed textbook for reference during the open book portion of the exam. Lily had nothing but her folded hands, clenched tightly, and a palpable aura of distress. The professor's stride faltered, a minute hesitation in her otherwise unyielding pace. Professor Sharma continued her circuit, her eyes lingering for a moment longer on Lily before moving on. But the image of Lily's strained expression, the nearly brimming eyes, and the desolate emptiness of her workspace persisted in the professor's mind. It was uncharacteristic for the usually prepared Lily. Something was distinctly amiss. A few more steps, a brief word of caution to a student about a misplaced phone, and Professor Sharma found herself drawn back. She stopped beside Lily's desk, the subtle click of her sensible shoes the only sound to pierce the general quiet. Lily flinched, her head snapping up, her face a mask of mortification. The unshed tears now glistened unmistakably. Lily, Professor Sharma's voice was surprisingly soft, a low murmur that barely reached beyond the two of them. It lacked the usual academic crispness, carrying instead an unexpected note of concern. "Is everything quite all right?" The gentle inquiry, so different from the stern tone Lily anticipated, caught her completely off guard. It was the crack in her carefully built dam of composure. A single, shimmering tear escaped and traced a hot path down her cheek. The unexpected instruction. The fluorescent lights of the lecture hall hummed, a stark contrast to the thrumming in Lily's ears. She stood before Professor Anya Sharma's desk, her carefully constructed composure threatening to shatter like fine glass. The air felt thick, heavy with the silent judgment of her peers and the looming weight of her own mistake. Her hands, usually so steady when sketching elaborate floral designs in her margins, trembled uncontrollably. "Professor Sharma," Lily began, her voice a reedy whisper, barely audible above the faint scratching of pens on paper from the students already bent over their midterms. A tear, hot and defiant, escaped the corner of her eye, tracing a path down her flushed cheek. I'm so sorry. I left my study notes at home." The last words were a choked sob, the dam finally breaking. Her shoulders slumped, and she felt a profound sense of humiliation wash over her. Professor Anya, perched on the edge of her desk, her gaze piercing, did not immediately respond. Her dark eyes, usually so quick to convey a subtle critique or a rare nod of approval, seemed to absorb Lily's distress without betraying any emotion. The silence stretched, taut and agonizing. Lily braced herself for the expected reprimand, the gentle but firm reminder of her responsibility. She imagined being sent away, her exam unattempted, her semester's work a casualty of her own forgetfulness. Then, Professor Anya's lips, usually set in a stern line, parted. "Close your eyes, Lily," she instructed, her voice calm, devoid of the expected frustration. Lily blinked, utterly bewildered. The instruction was so utterly unexpected, so incongruous with the gravity of the situation, that she hesitated. Samir, seated in the second row, paused, his pen hovering above his exam booklet. He exchanged a quick, puzzled glance with the student next to him, a faint frown creasing his brow. A few other students, sensing the unusual turn of events, subtly lifted their heads, their focus momentarily diverted from their papers. Close them, Professor Anya repeated, a touch of steel now underlying her tone, though her expression remained unreadable. "And try to remember everything. The colors you used, the diagrams you drew, the little notes you added in the margins. Every single detail." Lily, still reeling, slowly complied. Her eyelids fluttered shut, plunging her into a sudden, disorienting darkness. The hum of the lights faded, replaced by the frantic beating of her own heart. The scent of old paper and stale coffee, usually present in the room, seemed to vanish. All she could hear now was the soft rustle of Professor Anya shifting her weight, and the distant, muffled sounds of the other students' bewildered murmurs. She felt exposed, vulnerable, yet a strange sense of anticipation, mixed with fear, began to stir within her. Memories flow. The exam hall's cool, sterile air vibrated with a low hum of nervous energy. Lily sat, hands clasped, the pristine page before her a stark white challenge. Professor Sharma's voice, clear and precise, had just sliced through the tension. "Remember, Lily," her professor had advised moments ago, her gaze surprisingly soft yet incisive, "it's not about rote memorization. It's about comprehension. What do you truly understand?" Lily shut her eyes, consciously loosening her shoulders. She drew a deep, shaky breath, then another. The professor's words, a gentle prompt, echoed in the quiet expanse of her mind: visualize. Access your notes. Lily focused, conjuring the worn, spiral-bound notebook, its cover a familiar teal. Slowly, meticulously, the first page materialized. Not merely words, but the vibrant, beautiful chaos of her unique system, shimmering emerald highlights accentuating key definitions, bold cerulean arrows linking concepts, playful vermilion doodles illustrating intricate processes. She saw the tiny sketch of a neuron, its dendrites extending like miniature branches, encircled by a swirl of purple ink. Then, the detailed diagram of a cell, each organelle painstakingly labeled in a distinct pastel hue. It was all there, not as static text, but as a living, breathing landscape of knowledge. A faint smile touched Lily's lips. The tight knot of panic in her stomach began to unravel, replaced by a strange lightness, an unexpected clarity. It wasn't just recalling words, it was reliving the moments she had drawn them, the understanding blossoming as colors had flowed from her pen. Professor Sharma, observing from the front, noted the subtle shift in Lily's posture, the slight easing of her brow. She offered a barely perceptible nod, a silent encouragement. Lily opened her eyes. The white page no longer seemed so daunting. Her pen, poised above the paper, felt less like a heavy burden and more an extension of her own thoughts. She began to write. The words flowed, not in a desperate scramble for exact phrases, but as a confident articulation of her understanding. She explained the intricate pathways of the nervous system, described the delicate balance of cellular respiration, each concept unfolding naturally, as if recounting a familiar story. She delved into the historical context, the scientific breakthroughs, the dissenting theories, all the layered nuances she had meticulously recorded and colored. The rush of recall wasn't frantic, it was a steady, rhythmic current. Each paragraph built upon the last, forming a cohesive narrative. She even found herself adding small, quick sketches in the margins, echoes of her original notes, to clarify points for herself. A small, almost imperceptible warmth spread through her chest. This wasn't just remembering, it was knowing. A quiet power, a newfound confidence, blossomed from the depths of her mind. The fear had receded, replaced by a deep, fulfilling sense of calm. Beyond the test. The days that followed the exam stretched into an eternity for Lily. Each sunrise brought a fresh wave of dread, a tightening knot in her stomach that wouldn't loosen. She tried to distract herself with her usual colorful note-taking, sketching tiny, vibrant wildflowers in the margins of her history textbook, but even her pens felt heavy, her creativity stifled by the looming shadow of her potential failure. Samir, ever the pragmatist, had been a constant source of nervous energy, frequently checking the department bulletin board, his brow furrowed with a mixture of his own anxiety and a sympathetic concern for Lily. Still nothing, he'd report back, his voice a low hum of disappointment, each time. Professor Sharma usually doesn't take this long. Finally, on a Tuesday afternoon, a ripple of excitement and apprehension swept through the bustling university hallway. A new sheet of paper, crisp and white, had been tacked to the department notice board. Lily's heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic bird trapped in a cage. She walked towards it, each step heavy, feeling the weight of Samir's expectant gaze from behind her. Other students were already clustered, murmuring, pointing. Lily squeezed through the small crowd, her eyes scanning the neatly typed list, a cold dread washing over her as she reached the bottom. Then, her gaze snagged. Her name. Lily Chen. And next to it, a clear, bold pass. A gasp escaped her lips, a fragile sound that went unheard in the general hubbub. Relief, so potent it made her knees weak, flooded her. She had passed. Despite everything. Just then, a calm, authoritative voice cut through the noise. Miss Chen. Lily turned, her face still flushed with surprise and joy, to see Professor Anya Sharma standing a few feet away, her expression unreadable as always. The professor's dark eyes, usually so sharp and analytical, held a different quality today, a flicker of something softer. May I have a word? Professor Sharma asked, gesturing towards her office. Inside the quiet sanctuary of the office, the air felt thick with unspoken meaning. Professor Sharma sat behind her large, oak desk, her hands clasped. Lily, she began, her tone measured. Your performance on the exam was unexpected, in the best way. You demonstrated not just recall, but a genuine understanding of the material. There were moments, particularly in your essay, where your insights were truly exceptional. Lily swallowed, a warmth spreading through her chest. Thank you, Professor. This wasn't just about the answers you provided, Professor Sharma continued, leaning slightly forward. It was about the journey you took to get there. It was about proving to yourself and to me, that you are capable of deeper thought, deeper comprehension, even under duress. The test, Lily, was merely a tool. The real lesson was in how you approached the challenge, how you adapted, and how you demonstrated knowledge beyond rote memorization. That, she concluded, a rare, almost imperceptible smile touching her lips, is a skill far more valuable than any grade. A brighter path. The inviting aroma of simmering lentils and ginger enveloped Lily as she pushed open the door to Grandma Rose's snug apartment. Grandma, I'm home, she announced, her voice still carrying the remnants of a brisk walk. From the kitchen emerged Grandma Rose, a wooden spoon still in hand, her apron lightly dusted with flour. Her usually placid smile broadened into a radiant beam, mirroring the ecstatic expression on Lily's face. Well, what's this look, my dear? Did the world decide to spin just for you today? Lily could no longer contain her news. Professor Sharma, she passed me. With a B+. The words tumbled out, freighted with a profound relief that felt like a physical burden lifting. Grandma Rose let out a joyful gasp, the spoon clattering to the floor. She drew Lily into a warm embrace, her delicate arms surprisingly firm. Oh, my clever girl. I knew you could do it. I felt it deep in my soul. Her eyes, slightly moist, glowed with undiluted pride. All those late nights, all your diligence, it truly paid off. Later, sharing a comforting meal, Lily recounted the exam, the terrifying blankness when her notes vanished, and Professor Sharma's unexpected intervention. It was a lesson in humility, Lily confessed, stirring her tea. I thought I understood everything because it was all neatly transcribed. But having to rely solely on my mind, without the reassurance of my colorful diagrams and summaries, it was initially terrifying, then incredibly liberating. The incident had been a crucible. Previously, her studying often felt like an elaborate transcription, transforming complex ideas into aesthetically pleasing, rainbow-hued pages. Now, she grasped that genuine learning transcended the beauty of notes, it resided in the depth of comprehension they represented. The gut-wrenching panic of the forgotten notes, the chill of dread in the exam hall, had stripped away her reliance on external aids, compelling her to confront her true knowledge. And Professor Sharma, with her quiet, incisive perception, had peered beyond the initial stumble, recognizing the genuine effort beneath. Lily recalled the professor's gaze, not unkind, yet piercing, demanding authenticity. It wasn't merely about the subject matter, Lily realized, but about integrity, about trusting the knowledge one carried within. Professor Sharma hadn't just evaluated her academic performance, she had assessed her resilience, her capacity for critical thought under pressure. A quiet certainty settled over Lily. This was more than just passing a course, it marked a fundamental shift in her approach to academia, and to herself. A surge of gratitude washed over her for Professor Sharma, for seeing past her initial misstep and guiding her toward a deeper understanding of true scholarship. This wasn't merely a grade, it was an awakening. A brighter path stretched before her, illuminated not by the meticulous, vibrant drawings in her notebooks, but by the steady, unwavering light of her own inner understanding. She felt ready. "You've blossomed so much, my little one," Grandma Rose murmured, reaching across the table to clasp Lily's hand. "This is merely the beginning." Lily nodded, a gentle smile gracing her lips. She finally believed it too.